Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Tom. I run Syndicate, and this is a membered interview with Issa. Issa's one of our top students, so we're sort of going to talk into his numbers where he's managed to hit 7.9k in 75 days of being onboarded, which is, quite quick numbers when you sort of look at it in any industry change. But Issa, give us a little bit of introduction about yourself. Your name, where you come from, how old you are, and a bit of background about what you've done before, just so everyone understands a bit about you.
Perfect. So, as Tom said, my name's Issa. I used to work door-to-door sales for one of the biggest internet companies in the whole of the UK. Got fired from there for due to certain reasons that we won't really get into it right
What are the
now.
reasons? Give a rundown, just so everyone knows
So,
and understands the full background.
well, I had a customer complaint come in without going into all the ins and outs of things, got sacked, and decided to go into setting full time. That was around about the start of February. So took the leap back then, got onto my first role at around about the middle of March, I'd say, and ended March with around about, let's say, 2 grand in commissions even paid out to me. Okay month, not too bad, but then April was the month that really stood out. I actually done 7.9k in commissions.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think March was the month where we spoke and we was just sort of finding your feet, whereas you were
yeah,
jumping between two or three offers where we placed you on. And then it was a case of like, well, you got to a point you hit 2K, you knew the proof of concept was there. And we're sort of talking in a minute where what the decision was for yourself, whether it was, double down or start something completely different, which is sort of, I feel like it paid off. You can
yeah.
tell everyone if it did or not. But then so when you sort of doubled down, you got onto one of our partners' launch where you sort of made, like you said yourself, 7.9K in 1 month. But before we get into all of that, give everyone a good rundown of how you actually come across Syndicate Setter. Like, what was the first bit where you actually found remote setting, and how did that actually come across to you?
So I knew Tom from outside of like the whole space and everything like that. I seen what he was doing. He's traveling all the time, making good money. I was just kind of intrigued. It kind of piqued my interest, and it got to a point where I was actually in Thailand, and I came back from Thailand, and I was just thinking, like, I went back to my door-to-door sales job, and I was just thinking, like, it's cold. I came back in December. It's cold. It was like dark, it was awful weather really, and it just kind of was that like last push for myself. I ended up getting fired, as I said earlier, at the end of January. So that was like that kind of little push that I needed to get into the space. So I obviously spoke to you and got onboarded.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, to be fair, for anyone that's not in the UK watching this, the UK December and UK winter is not nice, especially if you're doing door to door like Issa.
Yeah.
Give everyone a bit of background about like your life before and the day to day of a door to door sales rep. Like, how did that look? Because most of the people understand what door to door sales is, but most people don't understand how fucking brutal door to door sales reps are in December, especially.
Yes. So let's say I was starting the days around about 9 o'clock, hitting the roads. Traffic, as you can imagine, around about 9 o'clock. Get to wherever I was doing. I was mainly doing the south coast, but like let's say an hour, 2 hour drive. That was in my own time as well. weren't getting paid for that, so that was in
So you
my
started
own
at 9
time.
a.m. and you had a 2 hour commute sometimes,
Yeah,
which you weren't getting paid for.
not getting
So
paid
it's
for.
every day you had 4 hours that you had to take out of your own time unpaid.
Yep, yeah,
Right.
and then get to site wherever I was. People don't want to speak to me. It's cold. It was Christmas. People were just like pretty much fuck off, and it's Christmas, mate. What you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you trying to sell us TV packages? You know what I mean? And so it got to a point where I was just like, I can't do this anymore. It's not something that I wanted to do long term. Where I was working 8 hours and then also commuting 4 hours every single day. I was doing 12 hours. If you
But you
count,
were getting paid for,
sorry, paid for the only 8.
right.
Yeah,
So you're committing 12 hours to the company, but only actually getting 8 paid.
yeah.
And how did the pay look?
Pay was all right. I mean, it's sales at the end of the day, so it was okay. It wasn't too bad, about 3 grand. However, it wasn't something that's sustainable in the long run for me. And like, if you think about it now, where I've earned what, nearly 8 grand, I've doubled it and then more in the space of me actually being at home in my own sort of comfortability, and not having a manager breathe down my neck. So like the whole different sort of like
Yeah.
space and everything
Because
has just been
it's one thing talking about the money side of things. It's good, don't get me wrong. Money's amazing.
yeah.
Money's great. You're making good money, 8K in a month. But the actual benefit was with your position, especially where you're going from, -3, -4 degrees in December, knocking how many doors a day?
150, 200.
200 doors getting slammed in your face, people
Yeah,
saying, I do not want this. And at the end of the day, it's very cold
yeah,
because these people don't want to speak to you. They don't know who you are. And thirdly, they don't actually want any sales package and any TV packages.
yeah,
So it's like you've gone from that, making 3 grand a month, again, not bad money, it's just okay, or going straight to the other side of it, going to being fully remote, working on your own schedule, working on your own time, to making triple the amount of money in a singular month, which is a bit of a jump, you know. With your day to day now, how does that actually look? Because how does your day to day look as structured? Because I know you said there you were doing 12-hour days but getting paid for 8, and even then you weren't really getting rewarded for the sort of job you were doing.
Yeah.
So talk to me, how does your day to day look like now? Because I know you're on a few different offers bouncing around. So how does that look?
So day to day wise, I wake up around about 8 o'clock, start dialing around about 11. That 8 to 11, I have that time for myself. Go to the gym, have breakfast, everything like in a normal sort of routine type of things. And then start dialing from around about 11 till 3. Have another break around about 3 till 5, and then from 7, no, sorry, till 5 till, let's say around about 7, 8 o'clock latest. It's not a lot of hours. It's just really matters about the strategy around like when you're dialing. That's what I'd say. That's the only thing really.
Yeah, which is sort of what we always say. It's like, of course, you want to work hard, and as a setter, you do work hard. I'm not going to sit and say, it's just like you work 2 hours a day and you make fucking 15K. You don't, right? You do put the hours and you do put the reps in. Issa's doing what, $200 a day still, but it's more actually about being smart. Because it's all good you dialing all day and doing $300-400 a day, but if your pickup rate's terrible, you got to reverse engineer that and look, I'm getting a 3% pickup rate here. Why is that? Well, I'm dialing at a peak time of when people are dropping their kids off to school and picking them up. So it's like, well, that's not very good use of my time. You're doing what, $100 in them periods when you're getting a 3% pickup rate. Realistically, you're doing 3 pickups per 100. It's not really worth your time. Where the average dial to pickup rate should be anywhere between 9 to 12%. So it's like, at the end of the day, it's better off you probably, regenerating it, maybe doing a follow-up sequence of some of your, current pipeline. And that's probably a better use of your time, which is sort of what you said yourself in the door-to-door side of things. You probably didn't have, because it's all sort of like just flat out where you just like go. You had numbers to hit, know. With the, decisions actually coming on board Syndicate, I know obviously this is going to be a big misconception for a lot of people. What were some sort of things going through your head? Because obviously we knew each other before. You obviously saw me doing what I was doing. I sort of said to everyone, like, this is what I'm doing, this is how it works. Obviously, there was obviously going to be misconceptions and what you had in the back of your head, like, okay, well, is it this, is it that? What were you thinking before you joined? Like, what were some things that were, you were sort of on the fence about?
So, I mean, like, it's a fact that I was kind of on the fence about like, was it too good to be true? Would this actually work for me? Would I actually be able to make sustainable amount of money? Would I actually get paid? Was this all a scam? It all runs through your head. But at the end of the day, what I really thought about is that if it didn't work out for me, I'd be the next best position that I'd be in is a 9 to 5 anyways.
Yeah.
I'd be back to where I was anyways. So if it didn't work, hey ho, it's not that big of a deal. That's what I really thought about it.
Exactly that. It's like I said this in a few of our testimonial videos and everything, like with members' interviews. It's like, your worst case is going to be someone's best case. You come in, you take the jump, it doesn't work, let's say that. And at the end of the day, you come away from that and you can just go back to another door-to-door sales job because they'll accept you either way. That's a very hard job, but no one wants to do it anyway. So you go back and that's going to be like, oh, I'll just go back to the other role. Or you can take the risk and, if it doesn't work, which very much so it has paid off for you, which is obviously a benefit. With what you were saying there, obviously, you said about, it not working out, potentially things going through your head. How did you actually overcome that? Because it's all good you telling yourself like, oh, if it doesn't work out, but what was the thing that moved the needle for you and just thought, you know what, like, fuck this, I'm doing a job, I'm going to do it. Like, what was that actual moving part?
If you put in the work, you'll see the results. And I just thought that I shouldn't doubt myself. All of this fear, it's not going to take me anywhere. At the end of the day, if I put in the work, just like yourself, you put in the work and you saw the results. So I said, what's the really difference between me and Tom?
Yeah, so of course. And like I said, we grew up together, of course. So it's a bit different to, you've seen that. We weren't ever any different to each other. It wasn't like I've been dealt a different hand of cards. Everyone's the same, And it's like, this is the good thing about remote setting and, the remote sales space is genuinely what you put in is what you get out. And it's like a lot of people can't fathom that because if they go into a corporate role and they put 12 hours a day, they're going to get paid the exact same amount as they get paid for 7 hours a day. Same with yourself.
Yeah.
You did 8 hours a day, or if you traveled for 12 hours a day, your pay wasn't going to differ. Of course, you might close a few extra deals, but that's, again, commission based. But you were capped at how much? What was your cap and what was your ceiling at that job?
It was around about, like, if you earn, I think it was over 4,000 in commissions. After that, you only got paid £10 per deal, when usually you'd get paid around about £100-150 per deal.
So as soon as you hit 4K, it logically doesn't make sense for you to keep knocking doors.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
I remember this,
Yeah.
very cheeky from your side. When you hit 4K, what did you used to do?
I used to just wait until next month, keep those prospects on until next month so you could get paid it. It makes
Well,
sense.
at the end of the day, the game is the game, and you
Yeah.
can't hate the player for playing it. You know, it's like if you're getting paid £10 a deal and it's the 28th of the month, why on earth would you now go and close these deals? You've got to use your brain and think, well, I can wait 3-4 days and get paid £200 for the exact same deal, exact same prospect, or I close it now and nothing happens, you know. And with you obviously being that with remote sales being completely different, how does that mindset shift and how did that actually shift for you? Because going from being capped and only getting £10 per deal and you couldn't actually work more to make more because you were capped at, let's say, 4 grand. How does that change now to be in a remote setting where you actually have that drive now? Because you know that no matter where you're at in a month, you can still make, an extra 3, 4, 5 grand in commission.
It's like a breath of fresh air in a sense where, it's me, I'm working for exactly like what I want at the end of the month. So my inputs are going to be directly correlated to my outputs. Whereas before I was in a sort of capped sort of industry where, if I done, I don't know, let's say X amount of deals per month, if I got over that £4,000 per month, I would be capped then. And it just didn't align with me there. And in a sense where I'm surrounded by all these sort of people who are making 10, 20, 30K a month, it's just like the hunger for next sort of levels is unreal for me. I mean, like as a setter, like don't take this the wrong way in a sense where as a setter, it's probably one of the lowest sort of roles inside of the industry. So for me, the next steps would be closing, managing, and everything like that. And the monetary value that you get from each one of these roles only just keeps on going up and up and up. Whereas in corporate, I was only making 4,000, and I'm making double that now.
At the lowest role.
Yeah, at the lowest role. So it just shows you that like the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, of course. And the industry is so vast. You can go down so many different routes, like you said yourself, like the management, like closing, growth operations. If you want to go down to the marketing route, we've got partners inside that help you out with all of that. You told me before you joined and come on board with us, you were looking at a few different people, obviously getting started with it. What, leads me very on to this point. Like, why did you sort of go with us? I know you said because obviously we've had that, route to the next sort of parts. Like, you can go sales management, you can go to closing because obviously we're directly partnered with Capital Closer. What was it specifically for you that stood out about Syndicate Setter in comparison to another program that was just maybe capped at just setting?
Good question. I mean, like for me, it was about that progression, where you had all of the partners, like the job boards and everything like that as well. I saw that the chance for me to actually get a role and actually progress with Capital Closer and Syndicate Setter was the right move for me. So that was really the reason why I decided to come to you guys.
Yeah, no, of course. And even some of the direct placing partners, you've got Jack obviously inside. He's just placing people and, one of the biggest agencies in the space, which is Closes.io, and he's one of our recruitment partners. He hires directly from us. So even things like that we have just available to us that he doesn't really go anywhere else for, it just goes to show that it is strictly available to us, Inside the program, you said you come on board
February 12th.
February 12th, that's what it was. Your first week in the program, right? Of course, you come on board, you got on board, did the usual stuff. We had our onboarding call. How did that look for you? How did that feel? Because again, you come from a background of sales. How did that first, go into Discord, speaking to the lads? What were the lads inside like? What were the results like? Was it, just talk me through that.
It was a bit of like, stepping into like a new sort of uncharted territory, whereas like everything just kind of changed. I was around like 40, 50-year-olds when I was working my door-to-door sales job. Now, everybody that I'm in the space with is either the same age as me or younger than me, which is like so much more different. And like they're doing so much more as well. So it just like kind of, I don't know, it got that spark within me to like succeed, where I was around all these people that are like doing so well. And that first week, especially getting on that onboarding call with you as well, it was a breath of fresh air for me because you pretty much gave me the roadmap, pretty much run me through everything. You gave me that for the whole year, my whole year plan, and obviously you've been keeping me accountable to my goals as well. So, I mean, yeah, it's been really good.
I think that's a big part of just not the program that we offer, but just the space as a whole. You said yourself, Issa, you're 22, right? Everyone around you is give or take the same age and we all have the same ambitions. It's not a case of you're in a corporate office with guys that have been there for 30, 40, 50 years that haven't got any progression, don't really, respectfully don't give a shit about what happens. They're happy where they are. you're now working with guys that are also, 19, 18, 20, 21 years old that are doing stupid numbers and actually want to make something happen, Example, Josh, that is your sales manager on one of the offers we placed you on, is 18 years old doing clearing 25k in commissions month on month.
Yeah.
And, just going in from working with a 40-year-old that has been there for 30 years, doesn't want any progression, to going with an 18-year-old that's making 25k a month. Like, that is probably just the most mind-blowing thing to me, and one of the things that I looked at when I first got into it and was like, wow, do you know what? Like, I'm not doing enough, no matter how much you're doing. Because I can imagine you said to me the other day was like, well, I've made, 8k a month, and now you're on board into new recruitment partners. You're asking how I do this, how you do that. And I said this, and I always say this, is like, you don't just stop at making that amount of money. Yeah, it's great. Most people would stop. But the difference with you and why you're gonna progress so fast and so far is because you're always looking for advice. I can get my logbook up right now, and you would be in there 10, 15 times in the last, 3-4 days? Like, no, all the time. Anyone watching this is probably, what the fuck are you talking about? Issa calls me about 15 times a day, just asking for advice. It's not annoying advice, but he just asks, how do I do this? How do I do that? And it's the difference, right? The support is there, so fucking take it. If I'm there I'm telling you can take it. There's guys that come in and don't ever use me and never ask for the support. There's guys like Issa that comes in and uses it to his full, capacity. And that's why people like him do so well, In regards to your actual results and numbers, let's crunch them. Days, what were we looking at, timescales?
Timescales. So let's go. I started my first role and offer. It was like a real estate offer, Canadian one. Matey's offer was absolutely ass. I'll be completely honest with you. So I was just really using that for reps, so I could actually
and that was
master
what
the skill. That was, I joined it actually on the 28th of February, and I was on it till around about the 12th of March. And then I fucked that one off, went on to an AI e-commerce offer. That one was all right. I cleared around about 1.8k till the end of March. However, I hopped off that one because I was on that launch with Josh, where I just cleared in April 7.9 grand in commissions.
So
yeah.
Timescale wise, you joined February 12th and you was on your first offer February the 28th. So within
16 days,
you landed a role.
Yeah.
How? Because most people look at that and think, well, the biggest bottleneck inside the space and people seeing, that's why we have so many recruiters, is you can't land the roles. How did you do it?
Through guidance of you, man. I mean, like, at the end of the day, you pretty much gave me the roadmap to get that role. So, I mean, that Loom to the CVs to the how to interview. I mean, everything was pretty much just a detailed road plan of what questions to ask, pretty much everything that you would need to land the role. You gave me, so that's why.
And then from the February 28th, when you landed that role, towards the end of the month, you did your, you said yourself, you made your reps, right? So you pretty much just did it to replace your income and just to, sort of get the reps in. People watching this, they won't know this. You had a choice at the end of February to either, I'll let you break it down. So me and Issa had a conversation. He called me and had a very big choice of, I think it was the 28th, where it went to from a Sunday to the Monday. He was on a Sunday, and he had a choice of either going for this role where he made an extra £2,000 commission, which was amazing, but it's his first month getting the legwork in, or he had to do and get into a corporate role, right? Issa, tell everyone the conversation how it went between me and you and what that sort of led to next.
So, as you are all aware, I got fired from my Virgin Media job. I was taking interviews for another corporate role because I wanted something to fall back on, obviously. And at the time, I wasn't really too sure if setting was going to work because it was early doors. And I mean, looking at things now, it obviously did. But right then, I landed a role for a life insurance job. It was cold calling, decent salary, around about 35 grand a year, 65 take homes with commission. So not too bad, not too great. But it got to the stage where I was going to be onboarding with the corporate life insurance job. And I was also going to be onboarding with an offer on the same exact days. And I called up Tom and I was like, well, what do I do? I don't really know what to do. Do I just go balls deep into setting and just figure it out, or do I just go to corporate because I'm guaranteed a paycheck from corporate? So I was thinking, what risk should I take? I ended up taking the risk and going full time into setting. And
why? Why did you take the risk? Because most people that have got any common sense, most people would never ever take that jump. You're left with a complete new thing. You've never done it before. You don't know if it works, and you've just gone, I'm not taking a guaranteed paycheck of 3-4 grand a month. I'm gonna just take the risk and go. Why?
At the end of the day, if everything went left and it all went wrong, I would have went back to that 9 to 5 again. That life insurance role would still be there, I don't know, 10 years down the line, and it will still be there. Even if this doesn't work, which it will work for the next 10, 20 years. I can still go back to that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
So,
No, of course. And that's sort of a big thing that I say to people, like we said earlier on, right? If you don't take the risk, there's going to be no reward, you know? Because you can go to the job, right? That's fine, no worries at all. You'll go to the corporate job and you will make good money from it because you will. You said you had 70 grand or something like that on target earning with your comms plan, which is, you know, it is good money. But it's more of a case of like, well, yeah, I'm going to be there for the next 15, 20 years making that same money. And it's going to be very similar to what you were doing door to door, just in a warmer environment. So it's like, if you don't take that risk, you won't ever get that reward.
it's a case of what if, I think, because, you know, like you can think about what if it doesn't work for me? What if, you know, it all fails and things like that? But then the way that I thought about what if it does work for me? What if everything does go to plan? And it has gone to plan. Last month I went to Milan. This end of this month I'm going on holiday again. In corporate, I would have never been able to do that, mate. If 2 people on my team took time off, I'm not allowed to take time off. I can take time off whenever I want. I can work wherever I want, whenever I want. I'm my own boss, pretty much.
Well, it's not even just about that money side of things. Of course, money's great and everything like that. But I think a lot of what the benefit of the industry and why it's so good is the fact that you said it yourself. You can be your own boss, be where you want. You don't have to answer to anyone. And it's like, I think that's the freedom part that everyone desires, because the money, yeah, again, you can make the money going into corporate, but the one thing that a normal job won't ever give you is that freedom to do that remotely. Because I know we spoke previously and briefly, sorry, as well, in sort of 2027 Q1 coming up, we're looking to sort of take all the guys inside to trips or somewhere in Asia. But the beautiful thing about it is you don't have to ask anyone's boss, can I go? It's more of a case of like, I'm going to get on that plane and there's no one that can tell me otherwise. And it's like, well, I'm going to go because I want to go, you know? One final thing from me. So if you were, you know, to say something to people that were looking to come on board, that was sort of, I'm in an RN, looking to get in it, don't know if I should, don't know if it's going to work out, if this, if that, what's one thing that you would say to someone to sort of, what would you say to them?
Take the risk. I mean, like, at the end of the day, the worst thing that can happen is you're going to go back to that 9 to 5. And at the end of the day, that's the reality that you're living right now. So take the risk.
Heard of that, people. Lovely stuff. Issa, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Next episode is going to be out probably a couple of days from now. Another members interview. But this is Issa, his story about getting to 7.9k a month from getting fired from his insurance job. But I think next time I'm going to see Issa, we'll most certainly be at 15k a month with the offers he's got in the pipeline. We think he's got a few interviews coming up, right?
Yes, correct.
Few interviews coming up, some big bases coming in, some big hitters in the space. So look, Issa, we're going to see you in the next testimonial video with you being at 15k a month.
Yes, sir, mate.